One of the quietest battles a person can fight is the feeling of not being enough. We look around, see others shining, and whisper to ourselves, "Why can't my light be that bright?" What we forget is, every flame has its own time to rise. The sun and the moon do not compete, and yet both light up the same sky. Still, we compare. We scroll, we watch, we wish. We see someone else's success and start believing our own journey is too small. In that moment, we forget. The lantern we carry already holds its own spark. Today's story is for anyone who has ever looked at someone else's path and thought, maybe I'm just not meant to shine. Listen carefully. Because sometimes a single story can reignite the light inside you. Far beyond the busy cities, there was a quiet mountain town. The air smelled of pine and fresh bread, and every evening, the lamps along the streets glowed with soft golden light. In that town lived a boy named Eli. He was gentle, thoughtful, and worked in a small lantern shop with his father. They made glass lanterns by hand, painting each one with stars and rivers and birds. But Eli had a habit that dimmed his spirit. Whenever he saw others succeed, he would shrink a little inside. When the baker's son won an art prize, Eli thought, "I wish I was talented like him." When travelers bought the merchant's lamps instead of his, he sighed, "Mine will never be good enough." Even when he heard laughter from his friends while he worked late at the shop, he whispered, "Maybe I'm just less." Days turned into weeks, and slowly the light inside him began to fade. He stopped painting. He stopped dreaming. He started believing he was destined to stay in the shadows. One cold evening, as the mist rolled down from the mountains, an old traveler entered the town. His clothes were worn, his hands rough like the bark of an ancient tree, and on his back he carried dozens of dim lanterns. He came into Eli's shop and smiled kindly. "Can you fix these?" he asked. "They've lost their light." Eli nodded quietly and began working. As he cleaned and repaired each one, the old man watched in silence. After a while he asked, "You work carefully, boy. But why do you look so sad for someone surrounded by light?" Eli hesitated, then softly said, "I make lanterns every day, but mine never seem as beautiful as others. No one talks about my work. Sometimes I wonder if I should even try anymore." The old traveler smiled, not out of pity, but as if he had heard this 1,000 times before. "Come with me tomorrow," he said. "I want to show you something." The next morning, before dawn, Eli followed the traveler up the winding path that led to the edge of the forest. They climbed for hours until they reached a wide cliff overlooking the valley below. There, hundreds of lanterns hung from the branches of trees, each one glowing faintly in the morning mist. Some were cracked, some uneven, some barely holding together, yet together they filled the mountain with a soft golden glow. Eli stood speechless. The traveler said, "These are lanterns made by people all across the world, some from glass, some from clay, some from metal. Each burns differently, each flickers in its own rhythm. But look closely, Eli. None of them tries to outshine the other. And yet together they create something beautiful." Eli stared at the lights, feeling something stir deep inside. "But mine never shine this way," he whispered. The old man chuckled. "Because you've been trying to light your flame with someone else's spark. You forgot to tend to your own fire." He picked up one of Eli's repaired lanterns from the night before. It had a small, crooked handle and uneven glass, but when the traveler lit it, a soft blue-gold flame danced inside. "See this?" he said. "No two flames are the same color, and that's what makes them worth looking at." Eli felt tears sting his eyes. All this time, he had been chasing the light of others instead of seeing his own. The traveler placed a hand on his shoulder. "Comparison is the thief of joy, but gratitude is the keeper of it. Stop counting other people's stars. Look at your own sky." For a moment, the world felt still. The mountains, the mist, the glowing forest, all reflected the truth Eli had long forgotten, that his light was never meant to match anyone else's. That day, as they descended the mountain, Eli carried something he hadn't felt in years: peace. Back in town, Eli reopened his father's shop. But this time he didn't copy the designs of others. He painted what he loved: sunsets, the faces of people he met, the feeling of standing in the rain. Slowly, something magical happened. People began to notice. Travelers stopped to watch him work. Even the baker's son came and said, "Your lanterns, they feel alive." Years passed, and Eli's name spread beyond the mountains. His lanterns were known not for perfection, but for warmth, for the way their light made people feel safe. One evening, a young apprentice asked him, "Master Eli, how did you become so good at what you do?" Eli smiled softly, watching the glow of hundreds of lanterns flicker across the walls. "I stopped trying to outshine others," he said. "I simply started shining in my own way. Remember this, a flame that burns in envy will always flicker, but a flame that burns in truth will never go out. The bird doesn't wish to swim, the fish doesn't wish to fly, and yet both belong beautifully to the same world. Don't dim your light trying to match another's brightness. Tend to your own lantern. Let it glow in your color, your rhythm, your way. Because the world doesn't need more perfect lights, it needs more honest ones." If this story touched your heart, share it with someone who needs to remember their light is enough.